Hi, beautiful people. How are you? My name is Connor.
My name is Brittany.
And today we're going to be talking about consent with little humans.
Yes.
And how important this is, and how much I've really observed it's not considered.
If you're looking for resources to grow within your relationship, we invite you to come on over to our free membership site.
We've got videos to help you communicate, learn to love more compassionately, more openly, and we've got a lot of exercises available to you as well.
Yeah, I feel like in the outside world, oftentimes I just see caregivers picking their children up and moving them about, or just putting things on their body or taking things off their body, really being up in children's personal space without checking in first about how they are and if they want that and what their needs are at that time.
Yeah, so Ilya is 17 months and there's not a whole lot of our language that they're using right now. They talk all the time.
They have a great language.
I don't always know what they're talking about. And but it doesn't matter. There's so many cues that give us the indication that they want to be touched, or they don't right that second, or that they feel great about putting on some pants, or that they would rather not do that. And I think that, it really makes sense that we as parents could see a situation with our child and say, like, I have to pick them up, or I have to put shoes on them because of X, Y, or Z, whatever. And I totally get that. So I'm not talking about situations where a child is unsafe and, not protecting them, but I'm talking about the opportunity to check in with them and say, like, hey, I want to do this thing with your body. How do you feel about that? And even though Ilya doesn't speak back to us in our language, they really understand what we're saying, probably 90% of the time, and definitely around picking them up, putting a diaper on them, putting a shirt on, putting socks on, putting pants on, putting them in the car seat, getting in a bath.
If they want food.
Yeah, there's so many different things that we can ask, and we can be very clear that they are down with that or not. And if they're not, then we can do something else, And if we feel like it's really important to do that thing at that certain time, then we can kind of say, like, well, we need to do this thing, and kind of move them into that space, but still have a check-in about it, and not just like picking them up, putting them down, doing this, doing that. They're not an object. They're a human being with autonomy, and we really want to teach them about consent, because I think this is a big thing in our culture today. Everyone's talking about consent between adults, but we're not really noticing how it could be that we're lacking consent in adults because we didn't get that when we were children.
It's so profound that you just said that, Connor. I love that you said that.
Yeah.
It's true. I feel like if ever I notice I'm feeling an urgency around Ilya, my time with Ilya, feeling like I really need to get this diaper on, I really need to do this thing, and feeling like, usually what will happen is I'll be like, Ilya, like, can we put this diaper on? It sounds so good to go to the park right now, or whatever the thing is. And they'll be like, and they'll like walk around and be doing their thing. And if I'm feeling urgent, I can feel like frustrated by that, and just like keep offering, like, Ilya, please, I really want to do this. And at those times, what I've learned is, like, this is a time for me to tune in, take a breath, figure out why I'm feeling an urgency to do this thing right now, see if it's important and why, and then tune back into Ilya. And Ilya always has a reason. And they're so down to get dressed and transition to another activity when they're ready.
Yeah.
And we can usually navigate that together so well. So when I tune into Ilya, I often find, like, oh, okay, I'm in Ilya's world right now. Oh, I'm still playing ball. Or, oh, there's this object I'm really interested in. Or, oh, I have to poop first. Or whatever the thing is. And if I tune in, I know why they're not ready for that diaper. They're not just like being obstinate. That's not, they're very collaborative. They're very agreeable. They love co-creating with us. Yeah. If they're sharing a no, it's because they have a great reason for it. They're not just trying to make our lives difficult.
Right. And it's a relationship. And we are not the authoritarian over them. We're not their ruler. We are participating in caring for them in ways that they cannot yet care for themselves. And so to really, consider what care means versus force and putting our will upon someone else. So I had this experience the other night where we were at this drum circle, and Ilya was walking around, and basically, they kind of do their thing at this space. They kind of play drums, they check in with this thing, they follow dogs around, whatever. But they often kind of turn around and like look for whoever is, caring for them at that moment. And so it was kind of doing that, like doing their thing and then turning around every once in a while and checking in with me to see where I was. And then all of a sudden this woman just picked Ilya up and held them in her arms, and Ilya was like, and then after like maybe a minute, Ilya pointed at me and she put Ilya down, and Ilya came to me to be held. And I have been thinking about this for several days since it happened, because I think this is also really important. Doesn't matter if you have kids, there's kids around in the world. And I think people don't realize that you can't just touch somebody else. It doesn't matter how big or small they are. That's really inappropriate. And I can understand the draw to touch a child. They're so cute and adorable. But we have to understand that this is a fully autonomous, free human being with a will of their own. They're not an object. They're not just a cute little doll. It's really important that we respect a child's space. And so an alternative to just scooping up a child is to be able to ask them. And you can do that with your body language. And what I like to do with Ilya or other children that I want to connect with is just get down on their level, get down here, and you open up your arms to them. And if they come to you, that's consent. If they turn around and walk away, they're saying no. And I don't know what would have happened if this woman had done that, but my assumption is that they would have turned around and walked away and come to me because they didn't feel like being touched by a stranger at that point in time.
Yeah.
And it's not that Ilya doesn't want to interact with strangers. They love interacting with strangers. They do it all the time. But I think they can tell when their personal space is being violated and when they are being just kind of treated, as if they're an object. So I want to express that because it feels like a very, very valuable experience to share with the rest of the world, and to just bring, because I think we're not doing these things because we're evil people. We're just not considering it. Yeah. So there's a sense of ignorance around it. And I don't say that negatively. We all have subjects in the world we're ignorant about. But this is an opportunity for me to share. Children in the world are able to give consent. It may not be exactly the same as we would as adults, but they are able to give it. And by offering some form of body language that says, would you like to be touched? You can definitely get that feedback pretty easily, certainly with a 1.5-year child. Yeah.
I feel like we're always having more of an energetic conversation with any other being than we are a verbal conversation. And that feels really easy for me to have with Ilya and with children in general. And especially if it's our own child or a child we're around a lot, I think we really develop the understanding of one another. And I love these cues that you've given, just offering. I like putting out an offering. Like, Ilya, do you want to hold my hand? Do you want to get dressed? They see the clothes. Do you want to get picked up? Do you, what are the things that you're looking for? And Ilya's very overt. I think it's actually easier to communicate with a child than a grown adult usually.
Yeah, they don't have any other filter. Yeah, they're not trying to...
They're very clear. That thing I'm pointing at right now, that is what I want. Yeah. We put on the front pack because Ilya might be tired or we might be going for a walk. They run over and grab us. They want to be picked up. They run over and grab us and go,
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
They want my boobs. They're like at my shirt, like asking, I was thinking about this last night because like I sometimes sign certain things and I realized the reason Ilya and I don't use sign language is because like Ilya has their own language that we both understand.
Yeah.
So these offerings, and again, I think a really great way to check in with ourselves is to notice if we're showing up as needy and putting it on someone else, putting it on a child in that way. What is the need within us that we are feeling we're trying to have this child meet? Maybe that's like, this thing is so cute. I want to feel them in my arms. I want to feel like I'm worthy of having something cute in my arms, or I don't know, maybe that doesn't resonate, maybe something else. But why is it that we feel like what we need is more important than really tuning in with this being?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it actually feels good for us to interact in that way.
Right.
I think it feels much better when we show up balanced and kind of both parties show up like balanced, and we like create this dance. It's like this offering, no, this offering, no, yes. And I do it with Ilya too. Last night they were like really wanting to feed me this piece of food, and I was just like, no, I don't want that right now. And it ended up being this really funny game, but they were like, I was like, no, and then they kept offering. I was like, Ilya, please no. And then I was like making this funny noise, and then we ended up cracking up and playing with it for a really long time. And throughout that, I felt like they really saw me, and they really saw like, okay, we're not going to do that right now. We're going to play this funny game instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just understanding that we can respect children the same way that we respect adults, and like we would never just go up to an adult and pat them on the head. That would be really weird. We would never go up to another adult and just hug them without asking, or try to scoop them up into our arms.
And I think sometimes people do, like a lot less than children.
A lot less than children, for sure.
Sometimes people do, and I think it's again a reflection of like maybe this respect of our autonomy we never received.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and I really believe like children are way more intelligent than our culture gives them credit for, and they are so tapped in and tuned into energy on a level that we are not anymore.
Yeah.
That we can learn so much from them, and we have, in a way, we have less to teach them about the world and about being a human being than they have to teach us. We have things to teach them about society and like how things work. Like how tools work, or how a knife works, or how fire works. But they have so much to teach us about love and interaction and spontaneity, creativity, inspiration. So respect that, like that, like they need praise and to be lifted up and to be revered. Again, they're not just objects, cute little objects. Like they have so much feeling, so much presence, and they're so affected by energy. We really have to be on to take care of them in the best way possible.
Yeah, they're not here to complete us.
No.
They are their own complete entities. And I just love everything you've said in this video so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for these
I feel pretty
inspiring
passionate
words.
about it.
Yeah, I love
especially
that.
having that experience that really sat with me the wrong way, and I wasn't even sure like what to do with it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to just run up and like tear Ilya out of her arms and scold her, because that again is a way that I'm sort of asserting myself into a situation that I wanted Ilya to navigate to the best of their ability, and at the same time not wanting them to feel like something horrible was happening. But I really it was just this icky feeling, because I felt like that beautiful human being that I love and adore was just like kind of violated. And yeah, it's like tricky stuff, And
I think we're so sensitive to it because it's so rare in Ilya's world.
It's incredibly rare.
Like
people generally do very much respect Ilya.
Yeah, I think that's the air around them and around us and the tone we set. And anywhere we go, I feel like people are very good about that.
Yeah. And when they were a little baby, a lot of people would ask like, oh, let me hold them. And we wouldn't just be like, okay, here you go. And like, I get that. I understand that. And in a way, like I could see how that could be helpful to introduce a baby to different people. But also I think we used to do that within the context of a tribe where everyone knew each other. There was already established safety. The child energetically had already felt all these beings around them while they were in the womb and then after, as opposed to just like a stranger that comes up and is like, oh, let me hold your baby. That's gotta be kind of weird for a baby. maybe not all the time, but I would expect, and we would really just tune in and be like, well, I don't know if Ilya wants that, and we try to see, like, are they interested in this person? Are they interested in being held? And to be honest, most of the time they weren't.
No.
So not with strangers.
And when Ilya is interested, they make it really known.
It's so obvious.
They're very social and very extroverted. They're very attuned to the world, and they often go up to people and like play, and then sometimes even like want to be held by them.
Yeah. And they did that at a very, very, very young age. So, yeah, just giving all this stuff a little more consideration, I think, could make a massive difference in an adult person's life if they had that respect as a child.
Yeah, I once heard of somebody I really admire say that like the most discriminated against group of people are actually children.
Yeah, I totally believe that.
That really resonated with me.
I totally believe that. So let's stop that.
Let's stop that.
So much love to you. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day.